good idea to put the Sloan Foundation here in the Hampton Film Festival, because there's a similar conjunction of people who are in another world most of the time, and the rest of us, the regular people. And those two groups have to be brought together, science and regular people. I mean, to some extent, our lives depend on it. We live in a world that's increasingly governed by science. Science is all around us. It's under us. It's above us. It's in our pockets right now, and it's passing through us with the radio waves that are trying to reach us in our pockets. Somebody will get a call while I'm talking, and we know who you are. So it's vital. The way we feed ourselves, the way we cure our diseases. These are activities that are going to be impacted by science we don't yet even know about. And when we do hear about it, won't quite understand it unless we're familiar in some general way with science. And I think this is really important, it's not just important for, and it is very important for films, for instance, to represent scientists with the kind of respect that they deserve as serious thinkers. But it's also important, I think, to introduce the scientific process in storytelling in a way that allows people to begin to think a little more scientifically, to think the way a scientist thinks, to look for evidence. I mean, what you were just talking about a minute ago about this increasing magical thinking is not a good thing for us as a society. I'm reading a book now about Socrates, who he had to drink the hemlock because he didn't believe in the right gods at the time. That was the charge against him. There were other problems he had, but that was the charge. I mean, that was the affair. It was on the paper, you know. So, but the magical thinking is extraordinary at this point in our lives. A couple of years ago, somebody had a column in the Times in which he quoted statistics where something like 75% of the population thought the devil was real, but only 16% thought evolution was real. This is unbelievable to me. I actually came across a website about, I don't know, 2 years ago. It's probably still there. This is a website that you can go to, and you can send a message to a dead person for $5 a word. No, but it's not just fanciful. I mean, they don't just imagine a conversation with a dead person. They have it really worked out in a serious way. They get your message, and they have somebody who's about to die memorize it. And then when he gets to the other side, he looks up your cousin, and he tells him what he can remember, you know. This is happening now in our country. So Doron Weber and the Sloan Foundation are giving us a taste of science along with the entertainment. And it's not, and he's careful to make sure you're not just getting fed the broccoli, you're getting fed the popcorn with the broccoli. And it's exciting to see the progress they've made. And there's so much to be done about this because, you know, the stereotype, when in the past and right now, there's still a hangover of this. In the past, there's a long history of showing scientists as weird people, you know, crazy people who want to rule the world with their algorithms. Well, actually, that's Google, but. So I take that back. No, but you know, these stereotypes are probably born of some small, you know, the scientist with the Coke bottle glasses is in our heritage of storytelling, and even scientists possess this stereotype to some extent. I have a friend who's a world-class mathematician, And he tells me that there's a standard joke among mathematicians. So you know how you can tell a mathematician is an extrovert? He's staring at your shoes. The thing is, that's probably true to some extent about some mathematicians, but the fact is, they're not weird people. On Scientific American Frontiers, the show I did for 11 years, I interviewed maybe 600 or 700 scientists, and I found that almost without exception, if you let them talk in their own voice, you find someone who A, loves to teach, but even before that, prior to A, is in love with what he or she does. They're passionate about what they do. They're like kids, they're so passionate. And C, or B minus, they have this incredible sense of humor. You have to be smart to have a sense of humor, and scientists are very funny. So, I mean, this stereotype is shot to hell when you really talk to enough scientists. Well, those people need to get on the screen. They're charismatic people. And we need to get more familiar with scientists because they're busy doing their work, and those of us on Main Street don't get to bump into them that much. But when we bump into them on the screen, we ought to recognize them for the really interesting people they are. Science, science is maybe the most interesting thing that humans do, with possibly the exception of sex. But movies have covered that already. If we can cover the other part, it would be great. I've been involved with the Sloan Foundation a few times now, and each time it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm very grateful for the chance to have done this. A few years ago, Doron helped get started a play I did about the great American physicist Richard Feynman, a play called QED, and it took us about 6 years to get that play to work and be ready for a run. And we opened it up in California, and then after a season there, we did a season on Broadway. And maybe 50, 60,000 people came to those performances and got introduced to this character of Richard Feynman, who was an extremely charismatic guy. And talk about a non-stereotypical scientist. He was a ladies' man. He was a bongo drummer. He was a safe cracker. He actually cracked all the safes at Los Alamos just for fun. So he helped build the atomic bomb, one of the little less entertaining things he did. But he was a very entertaining guy. I've also helped choose. I was on a panel at Sundance helping choose a movie that won one of the prizes one year. Very interesting experience. It's really interesting to see how filmmakers respond to the challenge of presenting science. Doron also has been instrumental in. The Sloan Foundation is one of the founding supporters, one of the founding investors in the World Science Festival that I've helped Brian Greene put on for the past couple of years. That has been responsible for introducing, so far now, about 250,000 people who have attended the festival to get to know more about science in an exciting way. You know, the festival's mission is to bring science and art together. Very much I guess in a way exactly what the Sloan Foundation is doing in supporting films that deal with science. The conjunction of science and art is really not a strange mix. It really is two long-lost lovers who are yearning to be reunited. Science and art were once the same thing, and through specialization they've separated. But when they come back together, it's amazing for artists to realize that scientists work very much the way the artists do. Now, it's true that artists don't have to come up with something that can be proved by experiment, and the scientists do. There's a serious distinction between the two. The artists just have to be able to get away with it. But there was an artist who said, art is what you can get away with. That's the definition. But scientists have to be rigorous, and they have to be creative. And artists have to be rigorous. Not just any color will do, not just any note will serve the purpose in a song or a piece of music. So without the creativity that artists have, if scientists didn't have it, we wouldn't get science done, and if artists didn't have the rigor that scientists have, we wouldn't have art. So they're really blood brothers. They belong together, and I'm very grateful that the Sloan Foundation is bringing them together.
Actor Samuel Varamo joins me now. He's from Finland, and his movie is Tears of April. That's an interesting title. Tell me about the movie.
The movie is set in the civil war that we had in 1918 in Finland, where the communists fought against the so-called ruling party, which was called the White Side back then. And the film is set in the last days of the war, and it's based on a true document about a soldier from the White Side who brought a woman from the Red Side to this war tribunal, and they had been missing for a week, and no one knew what happened. And this film kind of tells what might have happened during those days.
And how did you get involved in this movie?
I was first auditioned for the part in 2006. The film was shot in summer of 2007, so it was a long, strenuous audition round, and the director auditioned, I think, at least 7 guys and several women for the woman part, and eventually I got it.
Now, has the film already opened in your country?
It has. It opened in 2008 already, and now the latest was that it opened in Germany, and now it's going to open in Japan next year.
Okay. So it's slowly making its way over here.
And it's been going around the festival circuit a lot. Yeah.
Now, how excited are you to be out here at the Hamptons Film Festival?
I mean, I didn't just cross a continent to be here. I come from Scandinavia, which is a continent and an ocean away. So it's a great honor to be asked to come here, and I jumped the second I got the message that I've been called here. So it's great to be here.
Okay. And have you done any American films or anything on the horizon?
I'm doing now one in Italy that's starring George Clooney.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, so I've got a small part, but still, come on, George Clooney. I mean, I grew up watching films he's done, so it's a dream come true.
Speaking of George Clooney, he's actually got 2 pictures here that are showing Men Who Stare at Goats and Up in the Air.
Yeah.
But getting back to the film you're doing with him, can you tell us anything about that?
Actually, I signed a pretty impressive NDA.
Non-disclosure.
Yeah, non-disclosure agreement. So I can't even tell my brother what I'm doing, so I can't tell you guys.
Okay, well, fair enough. Well, we know what you're doing now. You're promoting Tears of April.
Yes.
So, best of luck.
Thank you.
So Rooney Mara, we interviewed your sister. This is exciting. Last year we had her, now we have you, and you've got 2 films here, Tanner Hall and Dare. Tell us about those films.
Well, Tanner Hall is a coming-of-age story about 4 girls at a boarding school and, sort of their own conflicts and their conflicts with each other. And Dare is also sort of a coming-of-age story that involves a love triangle and some other interesting things.
I got to see Dare last night, and I was really impressed. I really enjoyed that film, but I heard some people walking out saying, I'm not sure I would let my teen see that. What do you say about that?
I don't know. I think it was very tastefully done. I don't think it felt exploitative or pornographic at all. But I can see why some parents wouldn't want their younger children to see it, their young teens to see it. But I don't know.
How accurate a depiction? Because I felt it was. So, but that's my personal view, and I'm not that far removed from being a teen. You're even closer to being a teen more recently. Did you think it was a true depiction?
I mean, it wasn't a true depiction of what it's like for me to be a teen. I'm quite different than any of the characters. But yeah, I think it is very accurate. David has a very young voice, and I think he really captured what it's like to be growing up.
So how has the festival been treating you? Are you excited to be in the presence
aside
of
from the rain, it's been great. The weather's beautiful. I've never been to the Hamptons, so I'm really excited to be here.
And what about the connection with Sharon Stone?
I haven't met her yet, but I'm really excited. I'm very excited to meet her and see what she has to teach me.
Because she's supposed to be mentoring.
Yes.
So tell us more about your career. What's on the horizon for you?
Well, I have a movie called Youth Interval coming out in the fall, and Dare's coming out. Hopefully Tenor Hall will get bought and come out. And then another movie with Emma Roberts and Sam Rockwell called The Winning Season. And then I just shot A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake.
Okay.
So that should be coming out April 30th.
Nightmare on Elm
Nightmare on Elm
Street.
Street, yes.
Wow.
They remade it. Scary movie.
That must have been exciting.
It was. And right now I'm shooting David Fincher's next film, The Social Network.
Okay. And what are you most looking forward to for the future?
Just to keep working and trying new things and traveling, learning.
Okay, great.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Emmy Rossum from Dare joins us, and she's a very, very great actress doing a movie here at the festival. Tell us about Dare.
Dare is a film that was originally a short film that I saw and really wanted to be part of the feature-length film that was being made. I signed on to do the movie. We made it in Philadelphia, and it's coming out November 13th. I'm incredibly excited. Excited that also that it's at the Hamptons Film Festival and being honored and people are seeing it. It's always exciting when you do a smaller movie that's really a labor of love that people actually get to see it. And it's a very sexy, dark, sometimes very funny, honest look at what it's like to be a senior in high school, kind of exploring yourself and your sexuality.
That's what I thought also, but I also heard some parents say, oh, I wouldn't let my teen see that movie. I think could be a cautionary tale or a learning experience, and so you felt it wasn't so far removed from reality?
No, I'm sure parents would say that they wouldn't want their kids to see it. I mean, I don't think it's for little kids, but I think that this is a true look at what happens when you're a teenager, the kind of things that you're forced to examine about yourself, and I don't think that it's an unrealistic look at what it's like to grow up at all.
It's a great cast, too. Some really interesting people in the movie. Tell us about the people you work with.
Working with Alan Cumming and Sandra Bernhard and Rooney Mara, Zach Gilford, who's best known for Friday Night Lights, and Ashley Springer, who's a fantastic actor. He was in Teeth. It's just it was a great cast. We didn't really have trailers because we were pretty low budget, so we all kind of hung out in the same room on cots and ate peanuts. That was pretty much the extent of our catering, and it was an incredible experience, and that's the best kind of experience to have really making a movie.
Teeth actually played here one year. So, and what do you think of this festival? What do you think of the Hamptons?
I mean, I'm an East Coast girl, New York girl, born and bred, so it's really nice to have a great festival that examines international films, and really it's been so great to meet the other young actors from around the world and hear their perspective on what it's like to be a young actor today.
Speaking of meeting other actors, what about being mentored by Sharon Stone?
It's pretty exciting. I mean, she's had a long, very varied career, and I'm excited to meet her.
And what's next for you?
I'm just excited that Dare's coming out November 13th.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What's your advice to these young stars?
To keep and maintain your individuality.
Anything else?
I think that's the most important thing over a long career because there's only one of you.
How important are these film festivals to these young actors and to yourself?
I think it's very good, and particularly when you're putting your new work out there, to have the opinions and advice of your peers, so that you can start to really see how is your work, how is it seen, how is it how is it resolved, and you can understand that you're not in a bubble, and you can start to get what the film industry looks like as a whole, and what is not only good filmmaking and good art, but what is a commercial resonance, because you can't really continue to work if you just think that you're, some kind of genius artist in your room. You have to be able to be an artist that can work in the real sense, in the real world of film, because it's called show business, not show hobby.
Is this your first time at the Hamptons Film Festival? Or have you
It
been
is.
before?
It is.
That's been really nice.
It is. It's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Tanner Hall makes its U.S. premiere here at the Hamptons Film Festival. Tatiana von Furstenberg and Francesca Gregorini are the directors. Tell us about Tanner Hall. I mean, I know the backstory, but start with the backstory about how you had the film, how you had the rights, and you give us a backstory.
You want to go through that? Well, we've been best friends for nearly 20 years, and we've shot short films together before. And then we decided to write the story about 4 girls in boarding school, sort of a coming-of-age story. And then we luckily cast the lovely Rooney Mara, who's a rising star of this festival. And that's how we're here, pretty much.
Oh, you wanted the backstory about the TV, how it went from okay. So from a business point of view, well, the genesis of it was that we wrote it as a TV pilot, and then we pitched it all around town, all around Burbank, which is a terrible, hideous town, and pitched it, and then we sold it, and then we sold it to a network that ceased to exist, that folded, and so we got the property back, and then we developed it into a film, and it's much better suited as a film because it's actually quite lyrical, and it's a little bit more patient. I don't think TV would have the patience for this movie.
And also sort of some of the sexual content when we had developed it as a pilot sort of, gets watered down for TV, and it's like adolescence is very sexual, and that's part of what we wanted to explore. So, making it into a feature allows you to sort of venture a little further. And also Tatiana and I's taste is a little absurdist. So we could really, we could make the film we wanted to make and not have like 10 chefs in the kitchen sort of watering it down at every turn.
We didn't have any studio executives over our shoulders. So it was we really were very fortunate in that we got to cast exactly who we wanted to cast, and we got to make all of the location decisions and the production design decisions and the costume decisions and create a very unified, very singular world.
And Rooney and I were talking earlier about how true it is to a teenager's world. And so, I mean, not her world, but some world, some teenager's world.
Well, there's 4 storylines because there's 4 characters. So I think our experience so far is that everyone's sort of been able to identify to at least one of the characters. I mean, Rooney's character is sort of the voice that takes you through it, but it's like, there's a gay girl and there's, sort of the sexy, flirty girl that doesn't actually ever put out, but really puts it out. And then there's the villain character. So, I mean, I think there's something for everyone. And also the adults in our world are sort of coming of age for the second time round with sort of very different issues. Some of them also sexual. So I think it has something for everyone.
So what are the prospects for your film?
The prospects are really good. The prospects are really good. We did our world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. We were in competition, the Contemporary World Cinema Competition, and that's an international festival, and that was amazing to be invited to participate. And there is a market attached to that festival, and we have the prospects are really good. There's some things on the table, so that's good, and hopefully. It'll be the right channel of distribution that the movie will be able to be seen by adolescent girls and people who could be touched by the film.
And what's next for the two of you?
Well, we're about to go to Venice to shoot a short with Rooney called The Companion. She plays a mute, and Tatiana's her nurse.
No, I feel bad because I feel like we're ignoring you, but we just interviewed you. We just interviewed
for her next
We're getting ready for the companion.
So come on, tell the truth about the next project.
No, that is our short.
really.
She plays a mute. She's the nurse.
It's
I'll be
just
the
for fun.
cinematographer.
We're
It's a
going to
short.
work it into something future maybe.
Wow, so it's like a threesome now, the Three Musketeers. Are you,
True.
are you guys-
It is true. Because also, I just finished writing a feature that Rooney's going to star in. So, I mean, we're going to keep, this trio is definitely, this is not the end of the trio.
That's great, and this is kind of like old Hollywood in a way, where you have your.
She's under contract for life,
Yes.
exactly.
I'm bound to them. I'm not allowed to work for anyone else.
So, what is it like working for these two women?
It's amazing. It's actually, it's the most fun I've ever had working still, and I've done a lot since them, and nothing's been as good. It was really, they set the bar really high.
At least for the fun quotient.
Yes.
Well, great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You chose the part of the person from the 1950s. What attracted you to that role?
Because it was smaller than the other part. It was less difficult. You know what it was? He is more, how would I put it? There was something so soulful and so heartbroken about him as a man. And so from a different generation that I had a particular relationship to my grandfather, is what it was. My grandfather I saw in this character, and I wanted to honor my grandfather.
Now, we can just remind the audience that Stolen Lives is the story of two fathers who lose their sons. So what drew you to the entire script?
Again, there's kind of an integrity and a soulfulness to both these men, the man John Hamm plays and the man that I play. There's a kind of hearkening back to a generation of men who have inner strength to deal with what is the ultimate loss, the loss of a child. There's nothing worse. And the power and commitment that they maintain to protect their family and to honor what they have gone through, and to stay not lost in the drama of it, but lost in the commitment to maintaining and going forward and building something beautiful out of hell.
And what's next for you?
I'm doing a comedy with Katherine Heigl right now. It's really fun. It's really fun. So.
And what else? How's the Hamptons treating you? How are you feeling about
I
it?
just got here today. I have this great love affair with particularly Montauk. You know, I've been able to come out here for 15 years. Particularly, I have a thing about it during the winter. This is my first time coming to the festival, but it's a very, very magical place. I can't overstate it, and I shouldn't probably not overstate it so that people stay away from it.
Too late.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.